Hi, I'm Sarah. Today I'm going to read you the story of Stacy, which is titled like this. Mom said the family party was canceled, but when I happened to show up, I found them celebrating without me. Don't make a scene, or we'll disown you, hissed Dad. So I kept quiet, but did it. 2 weeks later, my door was shaking. Well, let's go. I'm Stacy, 30 years old, and I work as a crisis manager. For the past 3 years, I've been saving every penny I could get my hands on for one thing: buying my own apartment. I had managed to save up exactly $150,000, which was enough for a decent down payment in my area. My family knew about my savings plan. I talked about it all the time because I was so excited about finally having my own place. My parents seemed proud of me. My older brother Mike always joked that I was the responsible one in the family, but my older sister Sarah, she had a different reaction every time I brought it up. Sarah is 33 and married to this guy named Dave. They've been running some kind of consulting business together for about 5 years now. I never really understood what they consulted about, but they always seemed to be struggling financially. Sarah would complain about cash flow problems, about clients not paying on time, about having to let employees go. I'd helped them out before with small amounts, $2,000 here, $3,000 there, nothing huge, just enough to help them make payroll or cover some emergency expense. A week ago, we all met for our monthly family dinner at my parents' house. It was supposed to be a nice evening. Mom made her famous pot roast. Dad opened a bottle of wine he'd been saving, and we were all catching up. That's when Sarah dropped the bomb. "Stacy, I need to talk to you about something important," she said, putting down her fork and looking directly at me. "Dave's business is in serious trouble. We need money to save it, and we need it fast." I could feel the whole table go quiet. Mom and Dad stopped eating and just stared at us. "How much are we talking about?" I asked. $150,000. I nearly choked on my wine. "Are you serious? That's literally all the money I've saved for my apartment. I know it's a lot, but we're desperate. If we don't get this money, we're going to lose everything." I took a deep breath and tried to think clearly. This is what I do for a living: help businesses in crisis. "Sarah, instead of just throwing money at the problem, why don't I help you guys reorganize? I can look at your books, figure out where you're bleeding money, maybe help you restructure your debt or downsize your operations. That would be way more effective than just, 'We don't need your advice.'" Dave interrupted, speaking up for the first time. "We know our business better than you do. We just need capital. But Dave, if you don't fix the underlying problems, you're just going to burn through this money and be back in the same situation in 6 months. Sarah's face was getting red. "We're not asking for business advice, Stacy. We're asking for help from family." I looked around the table. Mom and Dad were just sitting there, not saying anything. Mike was staring at his plate like he wanted to disappear. "Sarah, I can't give you all my savings. That money represents 3 years of sacrifice. I've been eating ramen noodles and skipping vacations to save that money." Dave leaned forward. "What if you took out a loan for us? Your credit is good, right? The bank won't give us anything because of our current situation." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "You want me to go into debt for your business? A business that you just admitted is failing?" "It's not failing, it just needs help," Sarah said. "Then take my help. Let me look at your finances and create a recovery plan." "We don't want your recovery plan. We want your money." The conversation was going in circles. I could see Mom and Dad exchanging looks across the table, and I knew they were going to get involved any second. "Stacy," Dad finally said, "maybe you should consider helping your sister out." "Dad, I offered to help. They don't want that kind of help." Sarah threw her napkin down on the table. "Fine. I guess we know where we stand." She looked at Dave. "Come on, let's go." After they left, the rest of dinner was incredibly awkward. Mom kept sighing and shaking her head. Dad made comments about family loyalty. Mike just tried to change the subject, but nothing worked. "You know, Stacy," Mom said as I was getting ready to leave, "you could have handled that better." "How? By agreeing to give her all my money for a business that's clearly not working? By being more supportive of your sister when she's going through a hard time?" I drove home that night feeling terrible, but also angry. I knew I was right about the business thing. You can't just throw money at a failing business and expect it to magically get better. But Sarah was my sister, and seeing her so upset made me feel awful. Now, a week later, I was getting ready for our family party. I'd given Mom $1,500 to cover all the food and decorations because I wanted to show that I was still committed to the family, even after the fight with Sarah. The party was supposed to happen this weekend, and everyone would be there. Mom, Dad, Mike and his wife, Jenny with their 2 kids, Sarah and Dave with their 3 kids, plus Dave's parents and Jenny's parents. I was actually looking forward to it. I had even picked out a gift for Sarah's youngest daughter, Emma, who had just turned 7. It was this art set she'd been wanting, and I thought maybe it would be a nice peace offering. But then, on Tuesday morning, my phone rang. It was Mom. "Stacy, I have some bad news about the party. We're going to have to cancel it." My heart sank. "Why?" "Sarah doesn't want to come if you're going to be there. And Mike says if Sarah's not coming, then there's no point." "Mom, I offered to help her. I just wouldn't give her all my savings." There was a long pause. "I think you made your choice, Stacy. Now we all have to live with the consequences." She hung up before I could say anything else. The week after Mom canceled the party was weird. I tried to focus on work, but I couldn't stop thinking about my family. Part of me felt guilty. Maybe I should have just given Sarah the money and dealt with the consequences later. But the logical part of me knew that wouldn't have solved anything. Their business had fundamental problems that money alone couldn't fix. By Friday, I'd made up my mind. I was going to go see my parents anyway. The party might be canceled, but that didn't mean I had to cut off contact with them completely. I'd been avoiding them for a whole week, and that wasn't helping anyone. I decided to bring Mom her favorite apple cinnamon pie from this bakery downtown that she always raved about. Saturday morning, I got dressed and drove over my parents' house. It was the day the party was supposed to happen, and I felt sad thinking about what we were missing. But when I pulled into their driveway, I saw something that made my blood run cold. There were cars everywhere. Mike's silver Honda was there. Sarah's blue minivan was parked right behind it, and there were 2 other cars I didn't recognize. My hands started shaking as I sat in my car, staring at the house. Through the front window, I could see people moving around inside. I could hear music playing and the sound of children laughing. They hadn't canceled the party, they just canceled me. I sat there for a full minute, trying to process what I was seeing. Then I grabbed the pie box and got out of the car. I wasn't going to just drive away. I had a key to their house, and I was going to use it. I walked up to the front door and let myself in. The living room was full of people. Mom, Dad, Mike, Jenny, their kids, Sarah, Dave, their kids, and 2 older couples I assumed were the in-laws. Everyone was talking and laughing, and there were balloons and streamers everywhere. It looked exactly like the party we'd planned. For a few seconds, nobody noticed me. Then Jenny looked up and saw me standing in the doorway holding the pie box. "Oh," she said quietly. And suddenly, everyone in the room turned to look at me. The silence was deafening. All the adults were staring at me with these guilty expressions, except for Sarah, who had this smug little smile on her face. "Well, well," Sarah said loudly. "Look who decided to show up." Dave whispered something in her ear, and she actually laughed. Not a surprised laugh, but a mean one, like she was enjoying this. I looked around the room at all these people I'd known my whole life, people I'd bought Christmas presents for, people I'd helped move and babysat for, and I realized they all knew. They all knew I wasn't supposed to be here. They all knew I'd been lied to. "Stacy." Mom jumped up from the couch and practically ran over to me. "What are you doing here?" "I brought you a pie," I said, my voice coming out smaller than I intended. "You need to come to the kitchen," Mom said, grabbing my arm. Dad followed us, closing the kitchen door behind him. "Stacy, you can't be here," Mom said immediately. "Why not? You told me the party was canceled." Mom and Dad looked at each other. "We didn't cancel it," Dad said. "We just decided you shouldn't come. You lied to me." "We didn't lie. We thought it would be better this way." I felt like I was going to throw up. "Better? For who?" "For everyone," Mom said. "Sarah doesn't want to see you, and we didn't want to deal with the drama." "What about what I want? What about the $1,500 I gave you for this party?" "Stacy, you need to calm down," Mom said. "I need to calm down? You guys planned this whole thing behind my back? You lied to me and humiliated me in front of the whole family. We wouldn't have had to do any of this if you'd just helped your sister when she needed it," Dad said. "I offered to help her. She didn't want my help. She wanted your money, and you said no. So now she doesn't want to see you. And you're okay with that?" Mom shrugged. "Sarah's husband is going through a really hard time. His parents are here, and they don't want any family drama. So you chose her over me. We chose to keep the peace," Dad said. I stared at them both. These were the people who'd raised me, who'd taught me right from wrong, who'd always told me that family was the most important thing, and they were acting like I was some kind of troublemaker just because I wouldn't give away my life savings. "Do you think I'm worth less than Sarah?" I asked. "What kind of question is that?" Mom said. "A simple one. Do you think my value in this family is determined by how much money I'm willing to give away?" Dad's face got red. "Stop playing the victim, Stacy. You're not willing to sacrifice for your family." I looked at both of them, and suddenly, I remembered something. Last year, I'd helped them invest a chunk of their savings in some tech stocks that had done really well. They'd made a lot of money from that investment, probably more than the $150,000 that Sarah wanted. Does Sarah know about your investment portfolio? I asked. Both of them went pale. Does she know that you made almost $200,000 from those stocks I helped you pick? Stacy, don't you dare, Mom hissed. If you make a scene out there and tell everyone about our private financial business, we will never speak to you again, Dad said. I looked at both of them, and I realized something. I didn't want to be here anymore. I didn't want to fight with them or try to convince them that I wasn't the bad guy. I was tired of feeling guilty for making a reasonable decision about my own money. Fine, I said. I'll leave. I turned around and walked back through the living room. Everyone was still staring. As I got to the front door, Sarah called out loudly, "Bye, Stacy. Thanks for stopping by, but you're not welcome here." I turned around and looked at her. She was sitting on the couch with Dave's arm around her, smiling like she'd won some kind of prize. "You're right," I said. "I'm not welcome here," and I walked out. I drove home in a complete rage. Spret Stacy J. My hands were shaking so badly, I could barely hold the steering wheel. I kept replaying what had just happened. The look on everyone's faces when they saw me. Sarah's smug smile. My parents treating me like I was some kind of criminal. When I got to my apartment, I was so angry I felt like I might throw up. I needed to do something to calm down before I completely lost it. I took a cold shower, which helped a little. Then I made myself some mint tea and sat on my couch, trying to process everything that had happened. The worst part wasn't even that they'd lied to me. It was that they all thought it was okay. Every single person in that room knew I wasn't supposed to be there, and they were all fine with it. They'd probably been talking about me before I showed up, maybe even laughing about how they'd fooled me. I spent the rest of the day trying to distract myself with Netflix and cleaning my apartment, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. Around 7 in the evening, my phone buzzed with a notification. Sarah had posted something on Facebook. I probably shouldn't have looked, but I couldn't help myself. She'd posted a photo from the party. Everyone gathered around the dining room table, smiling and laughing. The caption read, "Only worthy and beloved people deserve an invitation. So grateful for my amazing family." I stared at that post for a full minute. She was publicly calling me out. She was telling everyone on her friends list that I wasn't worthy or beloved. The comments started coming in almost immediately. "Where's Stacy?" asked our cousin Michelle. "Looks like someone's missing from the family photo," wrote Jenny's sister. "Is Stacy okay? I don't see her in any of the pictures," commented one of Sarah's friends. And then Sarah responded, "We've decided that recent behavior from certain family members has been unworthy, so we've chosen to distance ourselves temporarily." I couldn't believe it. She was airing our private family business on social media, making me look like some kind of terrible person who'd done something so bad that the whole family had to cut me off. But what made me absolutely furious was seeing that Mom and Dad had both liked her comment. They'd actually clicked the little thumbs up button on a post that was publicly humiliating me. That's when I snapped. I opened up Facebook Messenger and sent Sarah a message. "If you need money so badly, maybe you should ask Mom and Dad instead of me. Did you know they have almost $200,000 sitting in their investment account? Money that I helped them make, by the way." I hit send before I could change my mind. I watched the message go from sent to delivered to read almost immediately. Then I waited. I figured Sarah would either call me screaming or send me some angry message back, but she didn't respond at all. An hour later, I noticed she'd taken down the Facebook post entirely. I decided I was done with all of them. If they wanted to play games and take sides and make me the villain, fine, but I wasn't going to keep trying to fix things or prove that I was a good person. I was tired of fighting for a place in a family that clearly didn't want me. I blocked all of their phone numbers. I blocked them on Facebook, Instagram, everywhere. If they wanted to have their little exclusive family club, they could do it without me. For 2 weeks, I had perfect peace and quiet. No drama, no guilt trips, no one demanding money from me or making me feel bad for making reasonable decisions. I worked, I watched movies. I started looking at apartments online again. It felt good to remember why I'd been saving money in the first place. But then, on a Tuesday evening, someone started pounding on my apartment door. I was in my pajamas, watching TV when the banging started. It was so loud and aggressive that I jumped off the couch and ran to the door. I looked through the peephole and saw Mom and Dad standing in the hallway. They both looked furious. "Stacy," Dad yelled, "open this door right now. We know you're in there," Mom shouted. I stood there frozen. I hadn't talked to them in 2 weeks, and now they were showing up at my apartment yelling at me. "Whatever you have to say, you can say it from out there," I called through the door. Fine, Mom yelled. You want to do this in the hallway where all your neighbors can hear? You had no right to tell Sarah about our private financial business. I almost laughed. Oh, so now it's private? But my money was everyone's business? That's completely different, Dad said. How is it different? Because now Sarah is demanding that we give her the money, Mom screamed. We told her no, obviously. That money is for our retirement. So she's mad at you now. She's not speaking to us, Dad said. She won't let us see the grandkids. She says we're all hypocrites. I felt a little spark of satisfaction. Well, she's not wrong about that. This is all your fault, Mom said. You need to fix this. How is this my fault? I didn't tell you guys to lie to me or exclude me from the family party. You stirred up trouble by telling Sarah about our money. I told her the truth, something you guys seem to have trouble with. Stacy, you need to call your sister and straighten this out, Dad said. This family is falling apart because of you. The family was already falling apart. I just stopped pretending it wasn't. If you don't fix this, we'll never forgive you, Mom said. I looked through the peephole at both of them. They were standing there, demanding that I clean up the mess they'd made, threatening me, acting like I owed them something. You know what? I said. I don't want your forgiveness. I'm done with all of you. Now get away from my door before I call the police. They stood there for another minute, arguing with each other in whispers. Then I heard Dad say, Come on, Linda. She's not going to help. This isn't over, Stacy. Mom called out as they walked away. But for me, it was over. I was done fighting with them, done trying to prove I was right, done caring what they thought about me. The next morning, I called my boss and asked about that transfer to our branch office in Colorado. He said the position was still available if I wanted it. 2 weeks later, I was packing up my entire life into boxes. I'd found a nice apartment online in Denver, and the moving truck was coming on Friday. I didn't tell anyone I was leaving. I'd changed my phone number after my parents showed up at my door, so they couldn't bother me with calls anymore. I just wanted to disappear and start fresh somewhere new. The job in Colorado was actually a promotion. I'd be supervising the crisis management team at the Denver office. Better pay, better title, and most importantly, no family drama. I was excited about it. Moving day went smoothly. I drove my car behind the moving truck for 12 hours, listening to podcasts and music, feeling lighter with every mile I put between myself and my old life. Denver was amazing. The mountains, the clean air, the fact that nobody knew anything about my family situation, it was exactly what I needed. I threw myself into work and started making new friends. For the first time in months, I felt actually happy. I loved my new apartment too. It was in this great neighborhood with coffee shops and bookstores, and I could see the mountains from my bedroom window. I started seriously looking at places to buy, now that I was settled and had my promotion. 3 months passed without any contact from my family. I didn't miss the drama, but I did sometimes wonder how everyone was doing. Were Mom and Dad still fighting with Sarah? Was Mike caught in the middle? Did any of the kids ask where I was? But I didn't reach out. I was building a new life, and it was going well. Then one evening, I got an email. Not a text or a phone call, but an actual email. It was from Sarah. I stared at it for a long time before opening it. Part of me wanted to just delete it, but curiosity got the better of me. Dear Stacy, it started. I hope you're doing well. I know we haven't talked in months, and I know a lot of terrible things were said and done. I want to apologize for my part in all of it. I kept reading. You were right about our business. After everything that happened with Mom and Dad, Dave and I finally sat down and looked at our finances honestly. We were spending way too much money on things we didn't need, and we had employees we couldn't afford. We did exactly what you suggested. We cut costs, let some people go, and restructured our debt. It was hard, but the business is actually growing now. That surprised me. I'd figured they would just keep doing the same things until they went bankrupt. I also want you to know that it was Mom and Dad who told me to ask you for the money. They said you had more than enough and that you should help family. I didn't know about their investment account until you told me. When I confronted them about it, they said it was none of my business and that their money was different from yours. We had a huge fight, and I haven't spoken to them since. So, my parents had thrown me under the bus and then acted surprised when it backfired on them. Mike is still talking to Mom and Dad, but he's not speaking to me either. He thinks I caused all the problems by asking for money in the first place. So, right now, our whole family is split up into different groups and nobody's talking to anybody. The email went on. I know I hurt you badly, and I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I wanted you to know that I'm sorry and that I understand now why you said no. You were protecting yourself, and you were also trying to give us advice that would actually help us. I was too proud and too scared to listen. She finished by saying, "I don't know if you'll ever want to see me again, but if you do, I'd like to try to rebuild our relationship. No pressure, just letting you know that I'm here if you ever want to talk." I read the email 3 times before closing my laptop. I thought about it for days. Part of me wanted to respond right away and try to fix things. Sarah was my sister, and I did miss her kids. But another part of me wasn't ready to trust her again. What if this was just another manipulation? What if she decided she needed money again and came back with some new sob story? Finally, I decided to write back, but I kept it short. "I got your email. I'm glad your business is doing better. I moved to Colorado for work, and I'm not ready to see anyone from the family yet, but I appreciate the apology." She wrote back the same day, "I understand completely. Take all the time you need. I'll be here when you're ready." That was 6 months ago. Since then, Sarah sends me an email every few weeks, usually just updating me on how the kids are doing, or wishing me happy birthday, or happy holidays. She always includes pictures of her kids, which I actually like seeing. She never asks for anything or tries to guilt-trip me into visiting. I still haven't responded to most of her emails, but I do read them all. I bought my apartment 3 months ago. It's perfect. 2 bedrooms, great kitchen, mountain views, and it's all mine. I sent Sarah a picture of it, and she wrote back saying she was proud of me for achieving my goal. I don't know if I'll ever be ready to see my family again. Maybe someday I'll visit Sarah and meet her kids as their aunt, instead of just a stranger who sends Christmas cards. Maybe Mike and I will talk again, though I'm still angry at him for taking sides instead of trying to stay neutral. As for my parents, I honestly don't know if I'll ever forgive them. They lied to me, excluded me, and then blamed me when their plan backfired. Even if they apologize tomorrow, I'm not sure I could trust them again. For now, I'm happy with my quiet life in Denver. I have good friends, work I enjoy, and my own place. I don't have to worry about family drama, or people demanding money from me, or being made to feel guilty for making reasonable decisions.